Hey guys, welcome back. This is the part 2 of What If Naruto Had the Jougan. Before we start, please subscribe to the channel and like the video as well, it really means a lot. So let's start the what if. The members of Team 7 had shown up one by one, 2.5 hours after the arranged meeting time. After all, when your sensei is chronically late, you can't expect him to change his ways even for something as important as the announcement of the Chunin selection exams. Both Naruto and Sasuke were ready for the exams, and were eagerly anticipating them. Sakura, on the other hand, was not. She had doubts of her own abilities. She had no illusions that she was the weakest link on their team. Her chakra control was the best, but she had far less chakra and stamina than Sasuke, whose own reserves paled in comparison to Naruto's. Of course, Naruto's chakra pool was so huge that even with the Jagan, controlling his massive power was still rather difficult, putting Sasuke and Naruto on an almost equal level if she was completely honest with herself. Of course, Sasuke knew and could perform more jutsus, but Naruto's were more unique and definitely nothing to laugh at, as she learned in Wave Country. Sasuke's superior skills were offset by Naruto's overwhelming power. "Yo," greeted Kakashi. "You're late," yelled Sakura. "Well, you see, I got lost on the road of life," he said. "Liar," she shouted. "You know, Sakura-chan, it's not like we've been waiting long. We just got here not too long ago ourselves," smirked Naruto. Sakura punched him on the back of the head. "Baka," she whispered to Naruto harshly. "Anyways, I have great news for you all," he said lazily. "You're entering us into the Chunin exams that takes place in 2 days?" asked Sasuke, though it was almost more of a statement. "Well, yes. How did you guess? We ran into a bit of trouble yesterday with the Suna team. They have a someone like me on their team. His name is Gaara," Naruto informed Kakashi. Kakashi frowned. "I had heard rumors, but I'd have never have suspected the Kazekage's own son to be one. This may complicate things later." "Gaara is the Kazekage's son?" asked Sakura. "Yes, in fact, his teammates are his older brother and sister," Kakashi informed them. "It would be best to avoid him as much as possible during the exams, though that will be impossible once the third part of the exam starts." "Why is that, Kakashi-sensei?" asked Sakura. "Sorry, but I'm afraid I can't tell you that," said Kakashi. "Can't? Or won't?" asked Naruto. "Either way, would it matter?" Sasuke asked Naruto. "We're not going to find out until we get that far." Naruto nodded his head. "Remember, it's each individual's choice whether or not to participate. I don't want to see any of you there unless you're absolutely ready," Kakashi warned them as he handed them their registration forms. "Don't worry about it, Kakashi-sensei, just leave everything to us," said Naruto. "Naruto baka!" Sakura shouted, hitting him on the head. "This is serious. People have died in these exams. But Sakura-chan, we're all a lot stronger now. Especially you, you're at least twice as powerful as you were when we first left for Wave Country. We've all grown a lot since then, but especially you," Naruto said sincerely. Sakura blushed with the bit of praise, only she quickly became dismayed because it was Naruto, not Sasuke-kun, that complimented her and tried to raise her spirits. Kakashi smiled at the small byplay. Sasuke looked a bit annoyed and somewhat relieved that his most avid fangirl was finally moving on. "Thanks, Naruto," she said gratefully. "Well, I must be off, you have the rest of the day free," said Kakashi as he used Shunshin to teleport away in a swirl of leaves. "One of these days, I am going to learn how to do that," said Naruto under his breath. Sasuke nodded in agreement. "Hey, Sasuke-kun. Would you like to do something tonight?" asked Sakura. "No," he coldly answered, slightly annoyed at her. Sakura frowned for a bit before deciding to turn to Naruto. "Hey, Naruto." He was already gone. "Even Naruto is leaving me behind now. She looked down at the ground and sulked as she left the training ground. Naruto watched her go with sad eyes. "You know, it looked like she was finally going to ask you out, Naruto," said Kakashi from behind the genin. "You've been waiting for that opportunity for so long, are you just going to let her walk away?" "I do have some pride, Kakashi-sensei," Naruto sighed. "I am a lot of things, loud, annoying, an idiot. But I will not be Sasuke's replacement." "Fair enough, though I think you might be underestimating her though," said Kakashi. Naruto simply shrugged his shoulders in reply before setting out to find something to do for the rest of the afternoon. It wasn't long until Naruto found the Konohamaru core, or rather, they found him. "Naruto and Ai-chan, are you going to play ninja with us today?" asked Udon. "Yeah, you didn't play ninja with us the last time you said you would," accused Konohamaru. "Well, I would have if you hadn't gone and pissed off Sakura-chan like that," Naruto defended himself. "Then you had to go and pick a fight with that Suna bully." "I was only trying to get her to go out with you," exclaimed Konohamaru, now on the defensive. "I appreciate it, I really do, but Sakura-chan just doesn't feel that way about me," said Naruto. It wasn't lost on Moegi that he hadn't mentioned his own feelings for his teammate, and she decided to help out her own crush and call Naruto out on it. "What about you, Ai-chan? Don't you like her?" Naruto sighed. These kids would be the death of him one day, he was sure of it. "Listen guys, I know what you're trying to do, but this is just something I have to deal with on my own." "You still didn't answer the question, boss," pointed out Konohamaru. "And I don't plan on it either," argued Naruto. The Konohamaru core all nodded in unison as they looked at each other. "Do it, Moegi." "Puppy dog eyes no jutsu," she shouted and gave Naruto that menacing stare that he knew he'd give in to. Before he could answer though, Moegi was spirited away by an enemy shinobi. "Ni-chan," shouted Moegi. "Konohamaru-kun." "Boss, you gotta save her," shouted Konohamaru. "Right, just leave everything to me," said Naruto confidently as he took off after the other shinobi. After a short chase, Naruto confronted the enemy shinobi who had Moegi tied to a tree. "Drop out of the Chunin exams or I'll kill the girl," said the ninja. "You're pathetic. I could beat you without even laying a finger on you," said Naruto confidently. "And how do you think you're going to accomplish that?" asked the ninja. "Look down," said Naruto as he puffed out of existence. Wah, anything else he was about to say was interrupted when Naruto burst from the ground. "Gukatan, Inochi and Ko no Kabushi," shouted Naruto as he punched the ninja in the face. "I've improved more than you gave me credit for, haven't I, Iruka-sensei?" The Konohamaru core looked at the enemy nin in shock. The nin dropped the henge. "Congratulations, Naruto. You passed, though how did you know it was me?" "Easy, I could tell by the feel of your chakra," he answered. "You can sense chakra signatures?" asked Iruka, amazed. "That's incredible for one your age, most jonin can't do that." Naruto smirked. "Since when was I ever a regular shinobi?" "You'll make a fine Hokage one day, Naruto," said Iruka sincerely. "The best one ever, until Konohamaru here takes over for me," he said as he smirked, ruffling Konohamaru's hair. It took a moment for Konohamaru to register what Naruto had said, but then gave him a big grin, before hugging him. "Do you mean that, boss?" asked Konohamaru. "You betcha, Konohamaru, it's the job of each Hokage to surpass the one before him, but don't think because you're my favorite rival that I'll make it easy for you. You're going to have to work extra hard to surpass me," Naruto told the young boy. "Don't worry, boss. Just leave everything to me," shouted Konohamaru. "When I become Hokage, I'm going to surpass all the ones that came before me. Believe it," he shouted, going into that nice guy pose. A/N, the opportunity was just way too good to pass up. Naruto and Iruka sweat dropped. "He's even stealing my catchphrases," Naruto thought with a deadpan look on his face. "Why don't we go out for some ramen in a bit? I have to file a report on your progress, Naruto, but I'll meet you all at Ichiraku's in about 10 minutes, alright?" said Iruka, disappearing in a swirl of leaves. "Kuso. I really have to learn how to do that, thought Naruto as he and the Konohamaru Corps headed off to his favorite restaurant. Not too far away from where Naruto had saved Moegi. How did they do? Asked Kakashi. Spectacularly, I'm afraid, said Iruka with a small sigh. They've all progressed much farther than I thought they would in such a short time. What did you think of Naruto's performance? Asked Kakashi lazily. His performance surprised me the most, said Iruka with a slight smile. He's really come far. How did he learn to sense chakra signatures in such a short time? Since Naruto trusts you so much, I suppose it wouldn't hurt to tell you, though I'm sure Naruto would have preferred to tell you himself, said Kakashi. He's awakened a Kekkei Genkai. The only people who know are Sasuke, Sakura, Haku, myself and the Sandaime. Iruka frowned. But that means he must have a family after all. He then started to shake in rage, all the time spent alone. His family all died during the Kyuubi attack, interrupted Kakashi. We just know for certain who they were. Who? Asked Iruka, letting go of his anger. Arashi-sensei, said Kakashi. Yandere-sama. Iruka gasped. Kakashi nodded, but that means... Kakashi nodded a second time. Iruka regained control. How'd he take it? Not well at first, and that's to be expected, but he understood, said Kakashi. He actually took it better than I thought he would. So Naruto has the Jagan, said Iruka wistfully. He then looked sad for a moment. You were right, Kakashi-san. You're just looking out for them, so there is no need to apologize, Kakashi assured him. Just keep in mind that they do have to grow up at some time. Now I believe you have to meet some Hokage candidates and their friends that are waiting for you to treat them to ramen. Naruto was the first to arrive on the day the exams began. He only had to wait 10 minutes before Sasuke, slightly trailed by Sakura, came into view. You ready, Dobe? Asked Sasuke arrogantly. You bet, team, said Naruto excitedly. Just don't cry when you end up in the hospital after the beating I'm going to give you in the exams. As if I work harder getting out of bed in the morning than I would fighting you, he said confidently. A smirk appeared on his face. That's because you're too afraid to fight me anymore. You'd rather be lazy and stay in bed or practicing your stealth skills by escaping your fangirls, teased Naruto. You're just jealous because you don't have any, replied Sasuke. Take that back, yelled Naruto. As Team 7 entered the building, they failed to notice the blushing pale-eyed member of Team 8 who had been watching them, or rather Naruto, from behind a corner of the building. She had frowned at Sasuke's remark because, while she didn't consider herself a fangirl, as that would be improper, she did admire Naruto a great deal. Hey Hinata, shouted her teammate, what are you doing? Nothing, Kiba-kun, she said hesitantly as her two teammates approached. Well, I guess we should go, huh? Asked Kiba, then he got an excited look on his face. We are so going to kick so much ass. Provided you don't do anything too rash, Kiba, said Sachino. Relax, how hard can it be? He asked. More than anything we might be able to handle. Do keep in mind we are only rookie genins. Sachino reminded him, it is logical to assume that we have the greatest chance of failing this exam, and your tendency to rush into things will only serve to hold us back. So I'm holding us back, huh? Asked Kiba dangerously. Please don't fight. Hinata pleaded quietly. I'm sure Sachino-kun didn't mean it like that. Hinata's right, for the time being, we have much more important things to worry about. Sachino agreed, while Kiba merely grunted in acceptance. Team 7 had only gone up one floor when they were stopped by a group of people who were standing in front of the door. Sasuke was walking in between Sakura and Naruto, slightly ahead of them. In the middle of the group they watched two people keeping people from entering the room. Sasuke looked up at the sign, it read 301. He looked back at Naruto, who simply nodded at him. Sasuke stepped in when the two ninja knocked down a kid wearing a green leotard and sported a bowl haircut and bushy eyebrows. You plan on taking the Chunin exams like that? What makes you think you're good enough? Asked a kid with spiky hair. You guys should just quit now, said a second kid right next to him. He wore his Hittite like a bandana. "You're all just little kids," the first one taunted. "Please let us through," pleaded a girl with her hair in a double bun hairstyle. She was quickly knocked down by the two boys. Naruto recognized her instantly, as she was one of the people he trained in Kenjutsu with, and narrowed his eyes. She's much stronger than that, and her teammates are supposed to be strong too. What's going on? Listen, we're being nice, the Chunin exams aren't easy, said the first one. Of all those taking the exam, lectured the second, many will quit being shinobi, while others are unable to recover at all. We've seen it many times before. A Chunin is the level of military platoon captains. The failure of a mission and the death of his men. That is all the responsibility of the captain, explained the first. We're just thinning out the ranks of those that will fail anyway. What's wrong with that? Asked the second. I agree, said Sasuke stepping in, Naruto and Sakura trailing behind him. But you'll let us pass through. Also, get rid of the genjutsu, we're going to the third floor. There was whispering throughout the room at this proclamation. Naruto was strangely relieved that Tenten's team was not among those surprised that there had been a genjutsu in place. So you noticed, asked the second kid, not surprised in the slightest. Sakura, you must have noticed it first, right? Sasuke had noticed the pink-haired Kunoichi was distracted as of late and knew that she'd be a liability if her lack of focus continued. It's not that he didn't like her, because he did, he just didn't like the way she tended to glomp on him and dote on him constantly as if he were a small child. Your analytical skills and genjutsu identification abilities are the most advanced on our team. Thank you, Sasuke-kun, she said gratefully. Of course, I already noticed. This is only the second floor, even Naruto noticed it. I'm not that bad at genjutsu, Naruto declared. In truth, even with the Jagan, he was still not very good at genjutsu, but his skills, in recent weeks, had skyrocketed and he knew it wouldn't be too long before he was at Sasuke's level at identifying and seeing through them without the Sharingan. He could dispel some weaker ones, but his chakra control was far too lacking to even perform the simplest of genjutsu. The only one he could really do consistently was the Henge no Jutsu, transformation technique, and that was only because of the constant training and use of his patented Kinjutsu, the Oiroke no Jutsu, sexy technique. Not bad, replied the first, but all you really did was see through it. As he said this, he began to move to attack Sasuke. Noticing his movements, both Sasuke and Naruto tensed. Before anyone knew what happened, the green-clad boy had come in between Sasuke and the spiky-haired kid. Fast, thought a wide-eyed Sakura. It's like he's completely changed from the person who was getting knocked down just moments ago. As Sasuke and his impromptu opponent relaxed, Sasuke couldn't help but admire the green-clad Genin's skill. Catching that kick. That's some amazing chakra in his arms. Naruto was even more surprised than either of his teammates, because in the brief moment he used the Jagan, he had caught everything in detail. He didn't even use chakra. Even Sasuke can't move like that. In fact, he hardly felt any chakra coming from the boy, even less than a weak academy student. There was just barely enough for the kid to be alive. What happened to the plan? Asked a pale-eyed boy next to Tenten, whom Naruto surmised to be her other teammate. You're the one who said we shouldn't attract attention to ourselves. Well, the green-clad Genin began to explain, as he looked over at Sakura. Sakura got a feeling of dread at the pit of her stomach. Oh no. So, they were hiding their abilities. I know how strong Tenten can be, and this guy doesn't appear to be too weak either. I can't help but wonder how strong that other guy is, Naruto thought to himself. Meanwhile, the green-clad kid walked up to Sakura. My name is Rock Lee. So, yours is Sakura, said Lee as if stealing up his courage. He then started to blush and gave her a thumbs up. Will you be my girlfriend? He asked as he smiled at her and gave her a wink. I shall protect you always, until I die. No way. said Sakura, more than a little freaked out. Rock Lee just put his head down in shame. Naruto gave him a sympathetic smile. After all, he knew how it felt to be rejected. "Hey, you," said the paled-eyed boy, directing his eerie gaze at Sasuke. "What is your name?" "Sizing up the competition, I see," thought Naruto, looking at the boy intently. "When you want to learn someone's name, you should give your own first," said Sasuke in an arrogant tone. "You're a rookie, right?" asked the pale-eyed boy. "How old are you?" "I don't have to answer to you," replied Sasuke as the other boy narrowed his eyes. "What?" the pale-eyed boy asked coldly, as Tenten giggled at their little standoff. Sasuke arrogantly turned his back on the boy. "Hey Naruto, Sasuke-kun, let's go," said Sakura excitedly. Naruto turned to Tenten. "After this is all over, do you want to train some more, Tenten?" asked Naruto, who received strange looks from his and Tenten's teammates. "Hayate-sensei says I've improved, but my technique still pretty much sucks." "Sure thing, Naruto," she smiled at the blonde genin. While he wasn't anywhere near as good as she was, he was improving at an incredibly fast pace. She still couldn't believe how far he had come in a matter of a few weeks. She was almost certain he was training every bit as much as he could with that sword of his. "Naruto, how do you know her?" asked Sakura. "After Kakashi-sensei gave me my father's sword, he set me up with some extra kenjutsu training with Hayate-sensei and Tenten. From what I'm told, her sensei is something of a rival of Kakashi-sensei's, and so he jumped at the chance of helping out with my extra training," Naruto informed them. "Kakashi-sensei said something about me being able to use a sword would help." Dibbers. "Diversify?" asked Sakura, trying to help out her teammate. "Yeah, that," Naruto said, smiling. "Anyways, he said it would make us better as a team. With Sasuke's numerous ninjutsu and your skills with dealing with genjutsu, he said my being able to do kenjutsu would make us harder to defeat." As they headed down the hall, Sasuke couldn't help but think about all the skilled genin he had already met. All these skilled opponents. Things look like they're going to be interesting. It wasn't long until they heard someone behind them. "You!" with the dark eyes, "hold on." The trio turned to see the genin in the green leotard behind them on a platform above them. Naruto raised an eyebrow, Sakura cringed, and Sasuke remained impassive. "What? Would you fight me, right here, right now?" Lee said with a determined look on his face. "A fight? Here and now?" asked Sasuke. "Yes," Lee replied as he jumped over the banister and landed about a dozen feet from them. "My name is Rock Lee. When you want to learn a person's name, you give your own first, right?" "Uchiha Sasuke." "So you know?" asked Sasuke, now intrigued. "I want to fight you," said Lee, taking a defensive stance. "I want to test just how far my techniques will go against a prodigy of a genius ninja clan." Lee then turned to Sakura, who cringed in fear and was beginning to freak out. "Plus," he said as he blushed, "Sakura-san, love." "Ew." That was Sakura's limit as she began to freak out. Those eyebrows. "Just. Ew. You are an angel," Lee said to her, oblivious to her obvious distaste. "Just. No. Ew. Stay away," she shouted at the bushy-eyebrowed boy. "You know, you don't have to be so negative," said Lee, dismayed at her rejection. Sasuke scoffed at Lee, challenging me, knowing the Uchiha name. "You are a fool. You will learn what that name means, bushy brows," said a now scowling Sasuke. "Great," smirked Lee as he changed into his Goken, strong fist, stance. "Finally, Gai-sensei. I shall prove myself." "Don't do it, Sasuke," warned Naruto. "Want him for yourself, Naruto?" asked Sasuke, an arrogant look on his face. "He wouldn't have challenged you if he didn't think he would win, Sasuke. Names and bloodlines will only get you so far," said Naruto. Rock Lee smiled at this. "Shut up, Naruto," scolded Sakura, Sasuke-kun is one of the best genins there is. Not to mention with the Sharingan he's practically unstoppable. Suit yourself, but I know what I saw, he said, turning to them so Lee would not see the distinctive glow of the Jagan underneath his black headband. Then I'll just have to prove you wrong now, won't I, Naruto, said Sasuke. Though he had not voiced it, that had been a cheap jibe against Naruto's own bloodline limit. Sasuke was insinuating that the Jagan was somehow inferior to the Sharingan. Naruto's only thought at why the eye was not calling for Sasuke's blood was either because it did not catch the veiled insult, which he doubted, or it was content with the fact that Sasuke was about to be beaten to a pulp because of his arrogant overconfidence. Ready? Asked Sasuke, turning his attention back to Rock Lee. Naruto watched the fight in interest, the Jagan open underneath the headband. With Lee's attention fully on Sasuke, he figured it would be safe enough to use to learn that he could. Sasuke charged Lee, who was waiting patiently. Sasuke threw a punch that was easily blocked by Lee. Sasuke planted his hand on the floor to attempt a whirlwind kick on Lee when the bushy-browed boy countered. Konoha Reppu, Leaf Gale, shouted Lee as he did a sweep. Sasuke pushed up with his arm flipping away from his opponent. Sakura looked amazed, while Naruto looked completely unsurprised, as Sasuke and Lee were now staring at each other. He's strong, thought Sakura as she watched the boy nearly beat Sasuke-kun in the exchange. While he did not win, he definitely came out with the upper hand. I'll say this, there is no way you can defeat me, said Lee with all seriousness in his expression, because, right now, I am the strongest among the Konoha Genin. Sasuke narrowed his eyes, and then grunted as he smirked. Let's see just how strong you are. Sasuke got ready to go in for another exchange. Sasuke-kun, we don't have time. We have to be at the reception desk in less than 30 minutes, said Sakura worriedly. Don't worry, he said with a serious look on his face, I'll be done in 5 minutes. He then charged at Lee a second time. As he went to punch the green-clad genin, he disappeared. What? Incredible, and without the use of chakra, thought Naruto with an excited look in his eyes. Konoha de Zenpu, Leaf Great Whirlwind, shouted Lee as he kicked at Sasuke's head. Sasuke narrowly ducked before a second kick came straight at him. I can't dodge, Sasuke frantically thought. I'll have to block. What? Lee's follow-up kick not only broke through Sasuke's guard but tore through it like a rock through paper. Sasuke-kun, shouted Sakura as Sasuke was sent flying and landed straight on his back. He blocked that attack, she thought as she watched Sasuke struggle to stand. What the hell is going on? Sasuke said as he picked himself off the ground. He went right through my guard. Was that a ninjutsu or a genjutsu? Fine, it's time for me to get serious, said Sasuke, both eyes blazing with his two-tomo Sharingan. The Sharingan, said Sakura amazed. All the training on the way back from Wave was paying off as Sasuke could now call up the Sharingan at will, almost on instinct. Sasuke-kun is incredible. Sasuke-kun can't lose to this guy, said Sakura excitedly. Just watch, Lee's about to prove why you can't rely on a name and bloodlines, said Naruto. Before Sasuke could charge a third time, Lee kicked him in the chin, sending Sasuke flying up into the air. But the Sharingan, stuttered Sakura. A name isn't everything, Sakura, said Naruto as they watched Sasuke's airborne ascent. The Sharingan can't read it, thought Sasuke, that means his moves. My moves are neither ninjutsu nor are they genjutsu, said Lee as he prepared the next sequence of his attack. Sasuke managed to land on his feet, but Lee was already on the attack, now charging Sasuke. Sasuke could now only hopelessly dodge Lee's attacks, but no matter what he did, Lee was still connecting with several solid shots. Sasuke backed away after taking an extra strong elbow attack from Lee. My techniques are simple taijutsu, Sasuke-kun. Just as I thought, Naruto said quietly. What do you mean? Asked Sakura. Just watch. We're about to learn the true difference between him and us. Naruto told her as Lee disappeared only to reappear behind Sasuke. You may not believe it, because it's so simple, said Lee, who then jumped to dodge an attack from Sasuke. Kyuso, Sasuke said, gritting his teeth. It's said that the Sharingan can read all types of ninjutsu, genjutsu and taijutsu, lectured Lee, because ninjutsu and genjutsu require you to summon chakra and hand seals to preform, you can easily defend against them. But taijutsu is different. What do you mean? Asked Sasuke. Even if you can read my movements with your Sharingan, your body still lacks the speed to react to my taijutsu. It doesn't matter if you can see it, if your body can't keep up, it's useless, explained Lee. I believe there are two types of people amongst the strong. The hard-working types and the genius types. Your Uchiha blood is a genius type because of your Sharingan, while I am simply a hard-working type who has mastered only taijutsu. Sasuke's frustration came to a boil as he angrily charged Lee. Lee was still lecturing while dodging Sasuke's attacks. It could be said that my ultimate taijutsu is the worst possible matchup for your Sharingan. With that, Lee knocked Sasuke into the air again with a solid kick to the chin and then jumped after him. Kage Bio, Shadow of the Dancing Leaf. Lee was now soaring parallel to Sasuke's back. I shall now prove it with this technique that hard work surpasses genius skills. Lee's bandages began to unravel and ensnare Sasuke. I win. Before Lee could complete his move, a pinwheel cut through the air, pinning his bandages to the wall. Naruto cursed. He had been so intently watching the match, or rather Sasuke getting his ass handed to him, that he didn't sense anyone approaching. He immediately deactivated the Jagan, hoping the newcomer didn't see the teal glow through the headband. That's enough, Lee, shouted a red and yellow turtle with a very angry expression on his face. Lee immediately landed while Sasuke continued towards the floor, his neck about to break his fall. Sasuke-kun, shouted Sakura as she moved to catch Sasuke. Are you alright, Sasuke-kun? She asked with genuine concern. Even with the Jagan, I could barely keep up with his movements. I don't think even if Sasuke and I worked together that we could beat him, thought Naruto. Meanwhile, Sasuke was glaring at Rock Lee's back. Lee, that technique is forbidden, scolded the turtle. A talking turtle, thought Naruto, his attention on Lee and the newcomer, not wanting to witness Sakura fawning over Sasuke, ensuring he was alright. I'm sorry. I hadn't planned on. Lee tried to apologize, but was cut off. Fool, do you think you can really get off on some silly excuse? Said the turtle disapprovingly. You know well that a shinobi should not reveal his special techniques, said the turtle. Now are you prepared for your punishment? Yes, said a downtrodden Lee. Watching the interplay between the genin and the tortoise, Naruto came to a strange conclusion. Sakura-chan, can turtles be senseis? Asked Naruto in a whisper. Sakura looked at him as if he'd started sprouting tails. How the heck should I know if turtles can be senseis? She hissed at him. Alright, said the turtle, here comes Gai-sensei. There was a poof of smoke above the turtle, and Team 7 and Rock Lee were now looking at a bigger version of Lee. The man was about 2 heads taller, but he had the same bowl haircut and bushy eyebrows. Ah, I can see the flames of youth burning brightly in each of you. That guy is even lamer than the kid, said Sasuke with a bewildered look on his face. Had he turned to look at them, he'd have noticed Sakura and Naruto's expressions were the same. Super thick eyebrows. Super bowl cut. Was all Sakura could manage to get out. Those have got to be the biggest eyebrows I've ever seen, said Naruto. I think they might be alive. Lee turned around, rage and fury written all over his face. Hey, stop insulting Gai-sensei, he shouted at Team 7. With all these freaks showing up all over the place, how else are we supposed to react? Shouted Sakura. What did you? He asked, shaking a fist. Obviously Lee's infatuation with Sakura didn't stand up to the respect he had for Mato Guy. Lee, stop, said Guy with a small smile on his face. Yes, Gai-sensei, said Lee. Guy's expression turned serious as he shouted at Lee. "You fool!" He then punched Lee in the jaw, sending his mini-clone soaring through the air. "Lee, you are..." "Sensei," said Lee as he stood up, tears streaming down his face. "Lee," he shouted with tears streaming down his face. "Guy-sensei. I... That's enough, Lee, you don't have to say any more," as a sandy beach with a sunset appeared around them. "Sensei!" Lee shouted as he hugged Guy. "Lee!" "Wah," Sakura blurted out. "Air." Naruto grunted. I lost to this guy." Sasuke stuttered. "Yes. This is what youth is all about," said Guy. "Sensei." "It's alright, Lee. Youth and mistakes go together, forget about it," consoled Guy. You are too kind, Guy-sensei," sniffled Lee. "Now, towards the sunset, I want 100 laps around the training grounds," said Guy, pointing towards the mysterious appearing sunset. Lee straightened up. "Yes, Guy-sensei. Let's go." "Yes." "What about Chunin exam?" asked Sakura. "There isn't enough time." "What?" "Oh yeah," said Guy with a sheepish expression on his face. "Lee, your punishment for starting a fight and attempting to use a forbidden technique will take place after the Chunin exams." "Yes," said Lee, saluting Guy. "The call of youth." 500 laps, shouted Guy, striking a pose. "So tell me, how is Kakashi-sensei doing?" "You're his rival, right?" asked Naruto. "He is my eternal rival," said Guy. "Yeah, right," said Sakura disbelievingly. Sasuke didn't look like he believed Guy either, while Naruto was a bit undecided. At first glance, Guy looked like a moron, but after watching Lee pick apart Sasuke, he knew looks could be deceiving. "If Guy-sensei says..." shouted Lee back, but he was stopped by Guy. "Don't worry about it, Lee, actions speak louder than words," Guy told him. Naruto and Sasuke's eyes widened as Guy simply disappeared. "If I'm not mistaken, my records is 50 wins and 49 losses, in my favor." Team 7 each spun around, surprised looks on their faces. "That means I am better than Kakashi. His speed. It's incredible," thought Naruto. "He's faster than Kakashi," observed Sasuke. "You see? Isn't Guy-sensei incredible?" shouted Lee. "Sorry about Lee, I swear by this face, it will not happen again," Guy promised as he smiled at Team 7, his teeth sparkling in the light. "You guys and Lee should be in the classroom soon." He threw a kunai and knocked the pinwheel off the wall, releasing Lee's bandages. Naruto watched as Lee rewrapped his hand. He doubted the others noticed it, but he saw the scars and the callus on Lee's knuckles. Even without using the Jagan, he noticed the hard work and dedication that Lee put into his training. "He's a true genius of hard work," thought Naruto. "Good luck, Lee, later," Guy shouted as he disappeared in a puff of smoke. "Kyuso," said Naruto, more than slightly annoyed. "I have to find someone to teach me that." Everyone in the room looked at Naruto oddly. Neither Sasuke nor Sakura could ever get Naruto's obsession with learning Shunshin no Jutsu, body flicker technique, though Sasuke had to admit he wanted to learn it almost as badly as Naruto, not that he'd ever admit that out loud. "Sasuke-kun, I shall say only one last thing," Rock Lee said as he went to leave. "The truth is, while I have come here to test my abilities, I lied before. I am not the best genin Konoha has to offer. Though the strongest genin is most likely to be on my team. I have entered this exam to defeat him, but you are also one of my targets. Be prepared during the exam," Lee said as he jumped to the upper level and ran off to rejoin his teammates. Sasuke looked frustrated, so Sakura decided to try and comfort him. "Sasuke-kun. Name and blood aren't everything, are they, Sasuke?" asked Naruto, his face the picture-perfect definition of seriousness. His tone was even, as he decided not to look or sound smug, despite the Jagan's nudges. Naruto, shouted Sakura. Shut up. Sasuke growled through clenched teeth. Next time, I'll beat him. Sure. Although you just got your ass kicked, said Naruto with a deadpan expression on his face. Naruto, you. Sakura began to berate the blonde-haired Triclops. Ignoring Sakura, Naruto looked at Sasuke. Did you see it? His hand. Judging by their looks of astonishment and confusion, neither had. Bushy brows must have been training hard. Day in and out. More so than any of us. That's all I meant. Sakura looked at Sasuke, her eyes filled with concern as his fist tightened. The Chunin exams. They are becoming more interesting, Sasuke said with a determined smile. Sakura smiled as well, and Naruto was now wearing a small smirk. Shall we get going? The three teammates walked down the halls, towards their destinies, not knowing the path of darkness that awaited them in the very near future. It didn't take Team 7 long to reach the real room 301. When they arrived, however, they were greeted by none other than their sensei, Hatake Kakashi. Ah, I'm glad to see you made it as well, Sakura, he said lazily, reading his little orange book, Ika Paradise Volume 3. You can now officially register for the Chunin exams. Kakashi informed them. At the looks of confusion, he continued, this exam can only be taken by teams of 3. But you said it was up to us whether or not we wanted to take it or not, said Sakura. Yes, I did, Kakashi answered. You lied, asked Sakura uncertainly. Not exactly, Sasuke answered her, it was your choice whether you wanted to take the exam or not. But he didn't want either me or Naruto forcing you to take the exam. Exactly, said Kakashi, who added after seeing Naruto's betrayed look, even if you two wouldn't force her into taking the exam, she would have felt as if she was holding you back, and thus would have felt obligated to take the exam to keep from doing so. All of them accepted this explanation. So, if only Naruto and Sasuke came, then what would have happened, asked Sakura. I would have prohibited them from taking the exams and not allowed them entry into the next room, said Kakashi. But, each of you came here of your own free will. Well done, I am proud to have each of you on my team. He smiled, though you could only tell due to the curve of his only visible eye, and moved to allow them entry. Alright, yelled Naruto, let's go. Kakashi watched them as they entered the room as the door shut. Wow! Naruto said breathlessly, while Sasuke merely glared. Sakura looked astonished at the sight that greeted them. There's so many. Is everyone here taking the exam? Her nervousness only intensified as she glanced around the room. Could they all be strong? She was broken out of her thoughts by something worse than the killing intent concentrated on her team, or at least in her opinion it was. Sasuke-kun. You're late, shouted someone as they glomped onto Sasuke's back. I've been eagerly waiting for you since I heard that I would be able to see you for the first time in such a very long time. It was none other than Yamanaka Ino, Sasuke's other #1 fangirl and Sakura's own eternal rival. Sakura went from nervous to enraged faster than Naruto could eat a week's supply of Ichiraku's ramen for free. Get away from Sasuke-kun, Ino pig, yelled Sakura. Naruto just sighed while Ino shifted to Sasuke's arm. Oh, it's you, Sakura, still as wide forehead and ugly as usual, I see, the bubbly blonde girl said to her rival. What did you say? Demanded Sakura. Ino's response was to simply stick her tongue out at Sakura. You guys are taking this troublesome exam too? Asked another voice, this time a boy with a pineapple-shaped haircut who was standing next to a big-boned boy who was eating chips. They are Nara Shikamaru and Akimichi Choji respectively. It looks like we're all here, said a fourth person. Inuzuka Kiba. He had a dog sitting on the top of his head by the name of Akamaru. They went everywhere and did everything together. Naruto remembered when he, Kiba and Akamaru, Shikamaru, and Choji all used to cut school together. Hello. Naruto-kun. Whispered the girl of the third group. When Naruto looked over, she quickly looked away and blushed. Naruto was puzzled by her reaction, but he put it out of mind. She had always been like that, and he didn't know why. Despite attempts to get her to open up, she would stutter at him when they spoke and she'd never look directly at him. Yes, for all the perceptiveness the Jougan possesses, Naruto is still as oblivious as ever to certain things. Moving on. The third member was as silent and stoic as ever. He was probably the tallest person of all of them. Naruto couldn't remember much about him, other than the fact that the boy had always been silent. His name? Aburame Sachino. You guys are here as well. Troublesome, complained Nara Shikamaru. So all 9 rookies are going to take the exam this year, observed Kiba. How far do you think we'll go, Sasuke? You seem awfully confident, Kiba, said Sasuke. We've trained like hell, we won't lose to you, stated Kiba. Shut up. Underestimate any of us and you will lose, said Naruto defensively. Sorry, Naruto-kun. Kiba-kun didn't mean it that way, said Hinata, pressing her fingers together, still not looking at Naruto. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed this what if and want to see next part of it, comment down below and let me know. Also share this video with your friends. See you in the next video. Peace.